Before we start on the publication, I would like to stress that the success of a research can be measured from the inputs and the outputs of research. Research input relates to the research grant in terms of the how much do we have. In the team of research, are we the principal investigator or just a member? Whether the source of grant, is it from government or private, or is it national or international? And then in terms of research output can be categorized into the most important thing, and which is related to what we are going to discuss today, is the scholarly publication. And related to that will be the citation and each index. Other publication is also becoming important. In terms of our publication, our writing in the newspaper are also very important. Today we have new products for commercialization, research and innovation award, like our INATEC or PERCIPTA or ITEC. Our networking is also a measure of research output, whether we are invited to give any expert advice, training, and also intellectual properties in terms of copyright, patent. So these are all important research outputs that we should be able to do if we want to be world-class researchers. Today, we are talking about scholarly publications. Scholarly publications are publications which are being peer-reviewed by the experts. Why we publish papers? The main and should be the most noble reason why we publish papers is we are very eager that we have found something interesting and we want to share. By publishing in the correct journal, the knowledge that we have gained will be transferred very fast to anywhere in the world. So everybody will be benefiting. Related to this, it will create an impact to the society. So maybe our finding is the first step towards a greater finding by other researchers. The next one is to be recognized as an excellent researcher. With good H index and good citation, we can be categorized as a good researcher. The other thing is we want to fulfill our yearly KPI as a lecturer or researcher. And then it is a requirement for graduation for the students. Requirement for promotion. This is for the lecturers. We need certain number of papers to be able to promote it to associate professor, to professor, and so on. To get award, to receive reward, to fulfill the KPIs of our research grant. By publishing papers and getting the citations, then we will be able to help our institution to achieve in terms of ranking, to achieve the target. It is already quite outstanding achievement to have 3 Q2, Q1 papers. There are some people who recommended that we begin our paper with writing the introduction, and we continue writing the materials and method, results, and conclusion. Other people may suggest that we begin with the easiest section, which are the methods and results, followed by the results and discussion, and then we write the introduction last, reference, and we find the right title, leaving the abstract until the end. So there are so many opinions on this. My advice is that the main thing is to begin writing, to start writing early, and you just fill up the blank screen or the piece of paper. So you keep on writing while you are doing an experiment. This is the structure, the normal structure of a manuscript. The title should be concise, accurate, meaningful, and highlight the significant issue of the manuscript. It must be interesting and attract attention. When the reviewer receives your paper, that this is different from other papers we have which he has read or has published. We need to avoid abbreviation in the title, and the title must not be too short and not more than 15 words. There are abbreviations which is very well known, which is acceptable. For example, laser. Laser is abbreviation, but it is acceptable to be used, but not abbreviation which only very few people know. DOE. DOE here means Design of Experiment. Maybe it means Department of Environmental. So it is not very clear. The second part of a paper is the abstract. So the abstract should be short and precise, and it is the starting point of the paper, and it is a summary. In abstract, there should not be any figure, table, and no reference. If you have abbreviation in the abstract, you need to explain again in other parts of the paper, because abstract are considered to be standalone. Writing abstract is very important because it will give the first impression. Besides the title, then the abstract is the one that the reviewer and the editor would read to see the quality of your paper. Then we have the keywords, which reflect the subject matter of the manuscript. And most of the keywords may already be present in the title. Normally, the number of keywords should not be more than 5. Only use established abbreviation like DNA. DNA is abbreviation which is acceptable. It can be used in the title and it can use in the keyword. And then the introduction. The third part is the introduction, which serves as the orientation and also what would be coming in the later section. Explains the novelty of the work, explains the objective, and why the work is important. We can divide the introduction into 5 sections. So in terms of diagram, we can see that it starts with a general statement, then it should end up with more specific items. Let's see how these 5 stages of introduction. The black color is the general statement of the field of research. And then the papers that we cited, the reference should come in the second part, which is the more specific statements about the aspects of the problem. So where we highlighted the previous studies in the area. And then now we want to highlight the need for more research. Like, although much work has been done to date, more studies need to be conducted to ascertain the effects of microcomputer-assisted instruction. So these are the statements that highlight what has not been done yet, that will relate to our objectives. You must use the Google Scholar and you use the Scopus database, which is, I think it's enough. If you use properly, Google Scholar and Scopus database will be good enough for you to do a thorough literature review. The fourth stage is you must write specific statement giving the objective. You don't have to use the word objective, but it must show that it is the objective. Okay, the next section is materials and methods. The description should be detailed enough for others to repeat the experiment. The equipment and material must be adequately described. The measurement must be clearly described, and it must be written in past tense and in a passive voice. If we have referred to a published method, we can cite the paper and we don't have to repeat in detail. But if we have changed, we have to describe what are the relevant modifications that we have. Results and discussion. Result and discussion is the most important, which critically analyze our results. There must be sufficient number of figures and tables, and the figures and tables must be in good quality. No, not the text. The tables and figures should be complementary. Therefore, we should not report the same thing in the table and in figures. Every table or figure should be referred in the text. So you summarize your results in the text, shown in the figures and tables to illustrate your point. We must explain possible reasons for the result. All results should be explained. If not, it would be just a simple reporting. And also, any unexpected result should be highlighted. Compare our result with previous studies. Is it consistent or is it contradicting? And lastly, the conclusion. Review of the most important findings, and we should reinforce the originality and the significance of the work presented. Should be consistent with the objective, and it should only refer to our work. We cannot conclude from other people's work. And discuss the application, how the meaning of this result, what are the possible future experiments, and also there are also in certain studies they highlight what are the limitations of the study. And lastly, the acknowledgement. It is important to give credit to the funding authorities. Writing reference, so you have to follow the requirement of the journal. Decide who are the authors of the paper. When you want to start writing the paper, it must be clear from the beginning who will be the authors of the paper. It is better that the principal investigator or the main supervisor will decide who are the authors, besides the student, maybe the postdoc or any undergraduate student who have contributed in a way or any other lecturer. Because if you do not settle the issue of authorship, it can create a dispute later on, then there will be misunderstanding. And then the decision on who should be the first author. Normally the first author is the person who do the experiment and who do the writing up. Selection of journal. Journal can be categorized into index journal, non-index journal, or conference paper. But now there are also conference paper which is indexed. The index journal compared to non-index journal is more prestigious and is more difficult to get. Why submit to ISI journal? ISI journal is Web of Science journal. Because it is published, it gives better visibility, higher credibility, and it has good incentive. UTM will give some incentive for those who publish ISI journal. If you are rejected, you still gain because you have valuable experience with free useful reviews. Begin thinking about your target journal early in the writing process. Be clear in the objective of writing the paper. Firstly, you must be thinking about 3 to 5 possible journals. When you are starting your research, so you must already know what sort of journal, which journal you are going to publish. Factors to consider in journal selection. Number 1 is the scope of the journal. You must read the scope of the journal and understand what are the priority areas. Number 2, which is also important, is quality of your own paper. So the quality of our paper must suit the journal that we are going to submit. Journal indexing database. This is also important, whether it is in Scopus or in Web of Science. And then impact factors. Impact factors and also the ranking. Peer review and editorial decision making process. What is the rejection rate? This one we also can check. Reference in our manuscript. The journal that we wish to submit should be cited there in the reference. If not cited, that means it is not that particular journal is not interested in our paper. Okay. Another important point is how we address reviewers' comments. And when you respond to the reviewer, you must be very polite and write in a helpful manner. And also it is important to make a point-by-point response to the reviewers and also to highlight in color. Normally I will do in yellow of all the corrections that I have done. When you submit a paper, it will take around 2 to 3 weeks for the editor to decide who will be the reviewer and to send to your review. Let's say it is 3 weeks. Then different journal will have different time. Some journal they give 2 weeks. Most Elsevier journal they give only 2 weeks. And again, around one month. So, and then there might be a delay by the reviewer. And then after the reviewer submit, then 1 week for the editor to make a decision. So I think it will take the minimum of 2 months. If you submit and you do not hear anything, no decision by the editor, after 2.5 months, you can write an email asking what is the status.